Is this the time now that we find ourselves in the renaissance of MeteorJS? We now have this 3.0 release that promises to bring us back in line with the rest of the Node environment or the Node community and makes working with Meteor competitive again. At least that's the perspective that we've been hearing. So today, to address this and to also talk about an event this week, which was a 4-day event so far that has been called the Renaissance of MeteorJS. We have Leonardo Venturini with us, and we have Gabs from the Meteor team. Both are from the Meteor team. And then on top of that, we also have John Morrow. John is also known as Jam, and he is the author of several packages that are being published, have been published lately and frequently in the Meteor community. He's one of our more prolific package makers, and he's here to share with us how to implement one of his packages today. One of the more famous ones you might know of, and we'll get to that later on in the program. But for now, you're watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly newscast of the Meteor JS Dispatch podcast. My name is Alim Gafar, streaming to you live from New York City.
Everybody, I'm Dvorak, coming to you from Prague.
And we have with us our guests today.
Hey guys, how are you doing? Thank you much. Thank you for inviting us.
So we have Gabs Fiero with us, who is the developer advocate for MeteorJS. I'm sorry, for Meteor Software, not MeteorJS. And then Leonardo Venturini, who is on the open source team at Meteor Software. And is John with us still?
Yes.
Let's bring him up for now, just so that we can, Hi, and then this is John Morrow, also known as Jam in the community. And we're going to hear from him a little later. He's going to give us a little bit of a tutorial as we go through in terms of implementing one of the packages. So for now, let's move right on into the news. And I just want to give a brief update on the CrowdStrike situation that's been going on. Some of you guys have heard over the last couple of weeks that there was this bug in a config file that brought down a large number of systems, affected airlines, affected trains, transportations, medical facilities, hospitals, and so on around the world. And gradually that's been cleaned up. I think almost all of the problem areas have been resolved. If you were one of them running a Meteor app, it's not Meteor's fault. It's CrowdStrike. So just keep that in mind. This is, again, just, speaks to the interdependency of things and the mistakes that get made. There was also a issue with Node.js 22.5.0, and there's been a postmortem on it. I don't know if we have a link to that postmortem, but if we do, we'll share the link here. And it's right there. Okay, and then of course you can read more about it. We're not going to dwell on this. We just want to highlight it and then move on. All right, and with that, let's get into some Meteor news.
All right, let's jump straight into it. We are still working on 3.0.2. It's right now in beta 4. The big thing that's currently being worked on, or that's kind of merged into that, is a critical regression in regards to how publication, subscription, all that stuff works. There have been some issues. So if you were affected by that, give beta 4 of 3.0.2 a chance to see if it fixed your problem. Another big thing that also fixes is a potential issue with the OAuth Twitter in regards to its dependency. At least that was the issue for me when trying to get Monte APM. So that's the 3.0.2 updates. And of course, this week was full on about the Renaissance of Meteor event from July 29th to August 1st, so till yesterday. And that was 3, you could say, webinars or like events, and then one big community Q&A. And I'll leave our guys from Meteor. So to talk about that later.
Really good. All right. Well, listen, if you guys are enjoying the work that we do here, hit the like button. Let us know that you're enjoying the episode. You want to see more of it. And that helps surface our episode to the Meteor, to the YouTube algorithm. And with that, I think there's some stuff happening with TypeScript lately. Storyteller, that you were talking
Yes, this is going to, I think, be super great news for all the TypeScript enthusiasts around Node.js. Hello, Kelly. Node 23 will support TypeScript out of the box, but don't get your hopes too much. The support means that we'll be able to handle and transpile the TS files, but it will be similar to how the official TypeScript package in Meteor is right now, which means it pretty much strips away the types and just leaves you with the JavaScript. So it will not do any enforcement or anything like that. It will be still up to you and your IDE to resolve.
All right. And, React TypeScript has made its way into a lot of different spaces, and it's being used in a lot of front-end coding, including with React. And speaking of React, there are a couple of articles I think that would be worth looking at, especially for the people that have come into building applications. Now, one of the things I want to point out is that the I wouldn't say it's the well, let me just say it's the default front end that you get in terms of where you find the most resources with Meteor today is React. And React is one of those frameworks that really has taken a lot of people's imaginations. They've gotten really good with it. A lot of companies use it. So if you're going to build a front end today, you probably would not do badly by either sticking with React. Angular is old and kind of bloated, but React, I think, has captured most of the imagination and a lot of the corporate stack in terms of building front ends. What was interesting to me was an article that you might find interesting if you weren't around when React started, or maybe you were, is a retrospective on React that Richard McManus of the New Stack did, titled After a Decade of React, Is Front End a Post-React World Now?, where he revisits some of the earlier, ideas or motivations behind React and makes an assessment as to, what's its place in the world today and how it fits in. So it's I think, a really cool article to read. And then there is also another article that is put out by Tim Anderson of DevClass blog, entitled "The React Community Splitting into Full Stack and Client Only Camps Suggests Survey." And so there's a survey that was done that looked into, how the React community was considering the place for React, and there is some movement right now, I think, also over at Vercel with the Next.js community in terms of moving certain parts of React down the stack and having an opinion about that. There is the thing that motivated my interest in this is because we are following a forum or a GitHub issue in terms of getting the React community to recognize Meteor as a platform that is, I guess, React compliant. And there's been a lot of back and forth between, I think, Fred and Philippe and others in the community to convince them that we should be considered on their approved list, and we're not seeing it go forward. And part of the arguments they're making is that we're not necessarily compliant with some of the things or some of the direction that the team is looking at, the React team is looking at. So it's, again, I think it's worth taking a read of these because it kind of informs a bit of where the React community is in terms of their thinking, and then trying to figure out whether or not this is going to have an impact on Meteor itself. I don't know if one of you guys at the back there, I think I brought this up yesterday in the Q&A a little bit, not directly like this with this evidence, but I don't know if Leo is still around.
Yeah,
Looks like he might have. Is he there?
Yeah.
I am.
Leonardo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if you have. Well, actually, let's not. Let's keep this moving because I think we could have a discussion about this afterwards. But
Okay.
yeah, that's where it is. And hey, Jan, what should people do?
Yes, so if you like, guys, what we are doing, want to keep up with all the other awesome things that we will be doing, like the future episodes, deep dives, everything, be sure to hit the subscribe button. It's right next to the like button, so you can, like both of those buttons there and change their properties properly. It really helps us also moving forward and making this channel better and hopefully higher up in the algorithm so more people can learn about Meteor as well. And
Yep,
now
we're trying to spread the word about Meteor, and I just want to point out one other thing, Jan, which is I think we're up to 254 subscribers as of yesterday, and in the last month or two, we've gained, I think, about a little over 20 something subscribers. So you guys are doing the right thing. Just keep on doing it. If you haven't done it yet, join in. It'll help get us closer and closer to. We now have a stretch goal of 300 before the middle of the month. If we can get there, I think that'll be pretty awesome. And it will be a credit to you all. So thank you. Jan.
All right, let's move on to the recap of this week's event. So let me move this screen once I got a little bit lost here. Back to this renaissance of Meteor. So guys, Leonardo Gaps, what is this all about?
Well, Meteor has been we've been going through a process of bringing Meteor to the 3 version, right, where it comes with all those updates and support for Node 20. And we are very happy and confident that this version is going to make Meteor great again, as people were saying in the forums, in a big discussion that is happening there. And we feel that too. And this event is just the beginning of a series of initiatives that we are doing in the future related to content and to a little bit of marketing as well, to bring people again to use Meteor, to update their projects. And we are very positively happy. Yeah, because we have I was gonna say that we had a very positive reaction from people, and we were surprised that a lot of people were like, oh, I used Meteor 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and I'm happy to see it moving on, and I'm happy to see it being updated. We got lots of comments like this. In the first day of the event, we had a peak of 70 viewers, 80 viewers, and simultaneously in the live. So it was like really awesome, and we are very happy. And Leo, maybe you can share some thoughts as well.
Yeah, perhaps more on the technical side. Meteor was and now is again up to date with the latest technology. It's all security patches and everything. There is cool things coming to Node that are going to be compatible, like TypeScript, as Jan mentioned. So we are now in a very good position, and the adjacent possibilities have increased a lot, and we can begin to innovate again and perhaps bet on other things and more bold things perhaps in the future. It's going to be a transition period as we kind of update our content and things like that and begin to produce more events and promote it more. And also there could be more partnerships and things like that in the future. There's lots of possibilities going on. And that's all I can say. It's a big lever. If you are a small team or if you're a startup, you can do way more with Meteor than you can with other frameworks. That's my personal opinion. But I love Meteor, so I am a little bit biased, but that's how I think it is. So yeah.
I think everyone here is a bit biased, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to kind of quickly share kind of 3 highlights that weren't really that much underlined because of all the other things. So it's not really maybe highlights, but kind of interesting side notes that were mentioned during these programs. So first that I've heard is that there is a consideration of moving Alim cores, which is the, it's a de facto roles package, into the core. So Alim roles that currently maintain community. Another second one, that Galaxy is going to offer also hosting for Python, and kind of mentioned in passing, but I think will be very interesting into the future, and I'm already involved in it. So kind of giving a sneak peek, there has been talk about potentially speeding up the development with something called work groups that would focus on specific topics or areas, like for example, a work group to bring roles into core. So that's just my additions to this topic. Not sure if anybody wants to comment on that or add something else.
No, listen, I'm kind of interested about Galaxy and Python because it sounds like I can move my machine learning workloads over. At least that's what it sounds like. It's an opportunity, and that I can build my front ends with Meteor. It'll be interesting to see if something like that is possible.
Yeah, definitely. I think we are in a very good position regarding AI, especially in the MeteorJS stack. It's real time. So
Yep.
there's lots of opportunity there, and I want to play with it in the future and perhaps create a package for integration, AI integration. And I also have some AI workloads on Python, so it's a very good addition to be able to run other technologies on Galaxy, for example.
Yeah. If you start going down that path, stay in touch with me about this because I have a vested interest in this.
All right. John, do you want to weigh in on it before we give you the stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that you guys went over during this week was awesome. Very excited about the future here for Meteor. And yeah, looking forward to, some more improvements, more innovation. I think there's just a bright future ahead. So
awesome.
Thanks, John.
So going forward, go
Can I
ahead.
just say one thing? No, I just would like to say that next Monday at 1 p.m. Brazil time, like 1 p.m. Brazil time, yeah, me and Leo are doing a live coding session on the YouTube channel, in the Meteor YouTube channel. Also, will be live streamed to Twitter and to LinkedIn. But yeah, what are we doing, Leo?
Yeah, we're going to create a chat app using Meteor 3, React, Tailwind, and TypeScript. It's going to be basically a real-time chat app, basically. So we will evolve that in the future, episode by episode, and that's our plan for now.
Yeah, that's great because I am after this going on a short vacation, so there will be no stream for me on Monday. So with that said,
We'll take our place.
So Gabs, why don't you do this in the meantime? Why don't you just drop the link in the private chat and I'll pop it up?
Yeah, I'll do it. Just a minute.
Okay.
Awesome. So without further ado, allow me to again introduce John, aka Jam, who has been doing quite interesting packages. I think it really fits well with the renaissance of Meteor because it brings the Meteor capabilities, I would say, to another level. So today, John will be introducing us to his Pops Up package. So
that's right.
John.
And John is doing this in our Understanding Meteor sponsored segment. Understanding Meteor is sponsored by, and I should get the little video up that we have, right? So let me pull that. Where is that? Why is it playing music? Do you hear music? You found it.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So Understanding Meteor is sponsored by Galaxy, and I don't know why we have music. But that's kind of cool. We have some background music. And and so if you want to give Galaxy a try, you can go there. We're gonna put up the banner in a second so that you can take advantage of it. Galaxy is sponsoring this, and it's offering a $60 discount or a $60 credit for use with Galaxy. So if you haven't given Galaxy a try, or you are on it but haven't gotten or haven't used this coupon before for these credits, please go ahead and do so. So we take you to a landing page. You saw that in the video, and you use the coupon code. I believe it's dispatches-60 on there, and you will get the discount that's being offered. So give it a try. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to John so that he can speak about his PubSub packages and show us how to use them. John.
All right. Thanks, Alim. Yeah, so today we're just going to go briefly over one of the packages that I put out there recently called PubSub. And we're going to talk a little bit about, what is PubSub, just for anyone that is a little bit newer to Meteor. And then I'll show you what this package does for you. So let me bring up my screen here. Let's see. Okay, interesting.
John, if you need to share it,
here we go. Entire screen.
There's a button called Present down below that allows you to do share screen. Okay, so let me pull myself away now.
Okay, gotcha. Here we go. Let me do this, and I'll collapse this. All right, so can you guys see that?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
All right, great. All right, so basically what I have here is my little demo app. This is straight out of the Svelte example app in the Meteor repo, so you can just grab that. And I'll just show you. So I have, a couple people here. I have Bob on the left, Alice on the right, and, they're planning their trip, right? So they have this like shared to-do list. And so I'll show you what the default experience is let's just assume for a second that Bob here is on a really slow connection. So he's out and about doing his grocery shopping and is having some trouble with the connection there, okay? And so let's say he's doing his shopping and he wants to kind of dig into a few of these details. And what basically happens is what you'll see if I go on to a particular to-do item here, that's going to load instantly because it's already been populated in Mini-Mongo. But if I go back, I'm going to get this really sad spinner, right? And it's going to load again. And so each time he goes to any of these and goes back, it's going to load. And what's happening here is basically whenever you navigate away from your current subscription, that's going to Meteor is going to automatically stop that subscription, remove the data from Mini-Mongo, and then when you go back, it's going to start the subscription again, and so you have to wait for that data to come back. And so you can imagine, if you're on a kind of not a great connection, you're going to see a lot of spinners in your app. Not a great user experience. And so what I'll show you real quick is how can we get rid of that, right? So if I go into my app here, and basically what I'm going to do is just import PubSub from Jam PubSub after I've installed it, right? Meteor add Jam PubSub. And I just I configure this cache to true. And basically this is a global configuration. So now all of my subscriptions throughout my app are going to be cached. And what that means for your users is something like this. So if we go back to Bob here, we slow down his connection again, something really slow. Now, if he's navigating your app, he doesn't see any spinners. Pretty nice, right? And so with, just a small amount of configuration to your app, suddenly you're giving this much better user experience to your users. And if I wanted to, I could also go into a particular subscription, right? So here I have Meteor subscribed to all the to-dos here, and I can change. I could cache just this subscription by setting that option. I could also change the duration. So the default is a minute, but I could say 30 seconds or 5 minutes, whatever you think makes sense for your app. And so you can kind of choose which subscriptions are cached that way if you didn't want to go with the global cache for all of your subscriptions. And so I hope that was pretty clear. Before I kind of tell you a little bit more about what the package offers, do you guys have any like quick questions or anything that wasn't clear there?
For me, it sounded pretty straightforward, but I think if there's anybody else that wants to pop up, I'm going to bring them all back onto the stage, and they can offer any comments that they want to add here at this point.
I have a question. Where is it cached in the browser? Local storage, IndexedDB?
So basically what it does is just keeps the subscription alive for that duration. And then once that, cache duration elapses, it'll stop the subscription, and all that data from Minimongo would be removed as normal, right?
Okay.
All right.
All right. So
Cool.
Let's see if there's any questions coming in from the comments. So any questions, or I'm speaking as I'm typing. Any questions or comments? Let's see.
There's a question from Weekanting. What is URL to source code of this demo? This demo.
I haven't published it yet, but I will. So I'll publish it and post on the forums, and people can go take a look. But I'll just continue on with a few more things that this package enables. I think the caching of subscriptions probably is the most bang for your buck, if you will. Probably the most widely applicable feature of the package. But I'll show you two more quick ones. And so the first one is basically the idea behind it is, you have your typical publications, right? So you have your Meteor publish, and then you're returning your cursors, and that's great, right? That enables all of that magical reactivity that Meteor provides. But you might find as your app is scaling up, there might be times where you find maybe you don't need all of that reactivity because there's a cost associated with that, right? It can become a little bit CPU intensive depending on how many users you might have, and you might discover that I don't need to have every single publication be reactive. And so what this package offers is a way to sort of bypass that and still give a great user experience. And the idea comes from, if you are sort of lurking in the forums for this solution, you might see some people talk about, just load your data via a Meteor method, which makes a ton of sense, right? You just grab, fetch the data, send it to your front end, and you're good to go, right? Except there's one problem there, right? You're going to have to come up with your own way to store the data. You're going to have to come up with, what other view layer you're using. You're going to have to come up with some sort of solution there, because that data won't automatically be populated into Minimongo when you're fetching it via a Meteor method. And so what this package enables is a way to fetch the data via a Meteor method and populate it right into Minimongo without you needing to do a bunch of refactoring, without you need to go devise your own store on the client, etc. And so all you need to do is add .once to each of your publications. And, suddenly these will become populated by a Meteor method. And, on the client side here, we'll see that data come through, and Bob can continue adding more to-dos. And the one caveat here, right, is that's not going to be automatically sent to Alice over here, right? Because since, you know, we're not using Meteor's default publish subscribe, it's not sending, broadcasting those changes to every client, but Bob can continue, you know, interacting with it as he wishes. And when Alice comes back to the app, she'll see the changes that Bob has made. And so this is a really quick way to basically reduce your reliance on the traditional pub sub, still give, you know, the user that's making the changes that reactive experience where they see the changes instantly, and you're not you know, broadcasting those changes in real time to all of the connected clients. So you save on, you know, you gotta get rid of some of that CPU intensity that's happening, you know, when all these connected, you know, hopefully your app is growing and you have a bunch of clients connected.
Okay,
So
we have a couple of questions from Felipe on this, which is what's the difference between this solution and the subs manager from Aranota? That was his first question, but I think the one that's up right now is, you know, in the .once option, what will happen if the client subscribes twice?
client subscribes twice.
I think you're not keeping the state on the server, so will it be sent again?
Yeah, so basically it's just, you know, the same, imagine if you're publishing or, you know, fetching data via a Meteor method, every time, you know, you hit that method, it's going to refetch the data, right?
Okay. So I'm not up and following this conversation very well because I'm trying to hit buttons here and assure people. I'm going to bring Leonardo on because I think maybe he can follow this a little better for me. I don't know if Jan is available right now. I know that he has to leave soon, so I'm bringing the both of you back in case you're able to talk.
Sure.
So why don't you pick up on this, because I think Felipe has a couple questions here, and you know, maybe he can, you know, maybe you guys can add some color to it if you understand exactly what he's going. And Felipe has one more addition here.
Yeah, so on the question of it's just a method with a publication friendly API. Yep. Yeah, essentially that's exactly what's happening. And, you know, the data is, the one caveat there is the method is publishing the data into Minimongo. So again, you're not having to come up with your own solution there.
Okay,
So
and then
you notice that I didn't change anything about the way I'm subscribing to that publication.
Okay, and so I guess, then I guess we go back to the first question, which was, you know, what's the difference between the solution and Sub Manager from Aranota? Do you know the Sub Manager solution?
Yeah, so I looked at Subs Manager a while back, and it is similar. I think there's two main differences. So one is just the API itself. It feels, in my opinion, much more native to Meteor. You're not having to instantiate a new sub manager, and I don't remember exactly the details of how you set that one up at the moment, but I remember it was a little bit more involved, right? This one uses, you know, you can continue to use meteor.subscribe, or if you want to cache your subscriptions globally, you use, you know, pubsub.configure. And so it's a little bit easier to set up that way. And that would be one of the main differences. I think the other one was, if I remember correctly, Subs Manager changes. It's a little bit different about when the subscription is stopped. And so with PubSub, it's stopped. So after the initial subscription was set to stop, so once you leave the page, for example, that's when the timer starts. And so it's from when you leave rather than from when you start the initial subscription, if that makes sense.
I hope so. I mean, I'm not really, I apologize. I'm just trying to manage traffic here, but
Yeah,
Leonardo and Jan are here to add technical color if it needs to. So if that makes sense to you guys, then I'm going with that. I'm just popping up. Felipe is really having a one-on-one conversation with you today, John. So
yeah.
Continuing with that once option, he says that was helpful. So that was great. He says we sometimes prefetch data and insert it into MiniMongo when the app first loads. Could this also be a solution for initial hydration? So I think he's thinking about this in a larger context.
Yeah, so I think it's possible. I also think it's possible to do something like one of the other packages out in the ecosystem. I think it's called Fast Render. I think there's, with some improvements to this PubSub package, I think something along those lines is possible, where basically, if I remember correctly, that package basically, fetches the data and throws it into your initial HTML. So you get a little bit faster loading. And I think that's kind of akin to what you're talking about here. So I think that could be possible in the future, but it doesn't happen out of the box right now.
Yeah, I have a few questions. I see in the repo that there's an experimental API for change streams. Can you get a little detail into that?
So I'll show you that one real quick as well. Okay, so that, this dot once covers what we just talked about. There's one more experimental feature as part of the PubSub package, and that is the ability to use change streams to publish your data. And so I say it's experimental right now because I'm sure that there are some, kinks to work out with it still. But, I hope that if people are interested in change streams, they'll, give it a try and, tell me about their experience with it and how it's working out for them. And so the idea here is instead of dot once, we change it to dot stream. And so now instead of using, Meteor's traditional op log, if you're familiar with that, where, the idea there is Meteor is monitoring every change that's happening to your database in Mongo. And that's how it's able to produce, the experience that you get out of the box today. And so with change streams, that is Mongo's, newer API for doing reactivity. And so that's what, this package allows you to tap into. And so I've just changed to stream here. And so now if I go over to my my app here and I refresh these, so now if Bob's typing in here, it's populated. You're getting the changes sent to all connected clients using change streams. And so like if Alice starts making changes, you can see that across both clients, right?
Awesome. That's amazing. Can you go a little bit more into the technical details on how that's implemented, just so I can understand it? How did you replace it? Did you go through MergeBox or something like that? How was it implemented in backend?
Yeah, so it doesn't go into the merge box or anything like that. I think, if Meteor is looking at doing change streams, they'll probably want to look at potentially other ways to implement this. But the way I went about it was a little bit simpler. So basically, when I kick off a change stream, I'm fetching that data and then I'm watching for any changes based off of this selector that you've put in here. And so, once that change stream starts going and, data is changing, right? It's picking up those changes and then broadcasting that to all connected clients. And so there is a caveat with change streams, right? And I wish Mongo would do some things here to make it a little bit better. But, you can't have, a ton of change streams opened all at the same time, right? You're going to have problems. And so what this package has done for now is basically cache any change streams that are similar based off of this selector. And so it'll be great for selectors like watching a particular chat room by its ID, right? It should be really scalable for that. But for something like this, where you have this owner user ID in here, it's probably going to not be as great for, right? Just because this is going to change for every single user. And so you're going to end up opening a ton of change streams. And so I think there's, obviously some more work to do with regard to Meteor and change streams. And so that's why I have the experimental label here, because I want to see what people think of it, where they kind of run into issues. And hopefully that'll help, inform the solution for Meteor as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the details. That's amazing.
Can I ask you what the problem is that you're seeing when you're opening multiple change streams? And is it the same multiple change streams to the same collection? Is that the idea?
Yeah. So the problem with change streams, right? And this is like a well-known problem, is you just can't have a ton of them open at the same time, like with Mongo. And who knows? Maybe Mongo will do something on their side to alleviate some of that. I'm not sure, but it really kind of depends on the usage of your app and the selectors that you set up, right? It's kind of hard to predict exactly how every app will perform. It just really kind of depends on the characteristics of your application. And so I hope that is a little bit helpful.
Yes, we have another question here, continuation from Felipe. To wrap up about the once option, my main concern is potential conflict between server and client states when using both regular and .once publications on the same collections. And Meteor's backend won't be aware of this data in Minimongo. This could cause documents to be resent to the client or even removed unintentionally.
Yeah, so I did do some testing with that. And in my experience, at least, as far as having the conflicts between regular and .once publications, I didn't see any issues. But again, I'd encourage anyone who's interested in it to go ahead and, put it to the test, see how it performs for you, and let me know what you see. But it does also do some things within the PubSub package to avoid those issues, at least on the client side. And yeah, you will, it is possible, right, to have data being sent that maybe is already there, but this package handles that situation. So you shouldn't see any errors per se, but you might see more data being sent than you absolutely need, if that makes sense. And so there might be some, I guess there could be a bandwidth concern there, but in my experience, I haven't seen any problems yet.
Well, you save also some bandwidth by, not having DDP connection open or all the overhead for, having an open publication and subscription going on instead of for things that don't need that. So I think it's kind of a good trade-off.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Nothing is perfect.
Yeah. There's always trade-offs. Cool. Well, I mean, those are the main things that I wanted to show y'all in the PubSub package. I'd encourage anyone that's interested in it to go give it a try. Let me know what you think. Send me your feedback. Tell me if you run into any issues. Yeah.
We have a lot of interaction on this topic, which is great. So Jan says each user needs only visible changes, not all changes. So I guess he's talking about filtered views on the subscriptions. And then Felipe is continuing to have this super detailed discussion. Let me see what he says here. There are also publication strategies in the core that might be similar to your solution. Have you checked them? And what was the next thing that he wrote here? Yeah, we're just discussing trade-offs between existing solutions. So, apparently Felipe is very invested in this. So, John, have you been able to take a look at these publication strategies that are in the core, or that hasn't, that's a level of detail that you haven't gotten involved in yet?
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't gone too deep on those. I've looked a little bit about the, like the no merge, no history option, which I think is kind of similar potentially to the .once. But again, I'm not sure again about the, sort of the trade-off there between just simply fetching the data via a method and populating it into Minimongo versus going with something a little bit more with one of those different publication strategies. I'm not sure sort of where the overlap is, if you will, or where, one can benefit the other.
So I would suggest, Philippe, that what we do is perhaps take the rest of this conversation offline and maybe bring it to the forums. So there could be, a persistent discussion about this. It sounds like you have some ideas that might help this package as it evolves. And at least I hope that's the tenor and tone that this is going with. And John, I want to thank you for coming today and not only demonstrating how to use a package and explaining what the package is useful for, but going into some deeper implementation detail of that and explaining the experimental features that people might want to try out so that they could perhaps influence the future development of this package. Is there anything else you want to add before we close this out?
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I just say, again, if you're interested in this type of stuff, go try it out. Let me know what you think. And I think, even if you don't take advantage of the .once or .stream options, the caching of subscriptions itself is a really big win for, I think, any app.
John, I want to thank you for doing this and continuing to build and put out packages all the time. As I said before, I think you're one of the more prolific ones in the last 2 years that has been putting out packages. And I think all of you guys in the community, if you find that there's some deficit in a feature or functionality that you want that you can deliver or could be delivered in a package, give it a try and put it out there. I mean, we love having people from the community add things that perhaps the core team just can't get to, or maybe is just, it's on their backlog, or maybe it's not in visibility at all for them. This is how we advance things together as a community. Storyteller?
Was great to have you here, and this is not the only package that John has been working on. Already there is a question from Weekend about how is this related to offline, and to which I'll say we'll cover that in another episode, so come back.
Coming up in another episode featuring John.
Nice cliffhanger.
Right? Yeah. Look at that. Leo's giving props, man. That's great. That's awesome, man. Wow, how'd you do that, Leo? Is that like an OBS thing, or?
No, it's built into the MacBook or something. You enable
really?
The options.
Very cool. All right.
Yeah, there's one for this one, I guess.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Listen, we're at the close of the program. Just want to remind you guys that open source is built by guys like these that are here today, John, Jan, and Leo. They all work on open source projects, whether it's a package or it's elements of the core features of Meteor itself. And I would suggest and remind you that if you can, offer some support to them. Go to their GitHubs, give them a star. If they have some other requests or means for helping them out, please consider doing so. And going forward, I think I'm not sure what we're doing next week. So I can't really tell you what's up for next week. It'll probably be a little bit of a surprise. We're going to try to get our notes together and get something out. We are looking to reach out to Abigail Watson. Abby, if you're watching, I'm going to be sending you an email or maybe even sending you a text later on, inviting you here to talk about Clinical Meteor and FHIR and the work you've done in terms of healthcare and Meteor. So we would love to have you join us, and you can take over if you want to. I mean, it's one of those topics that I think that people don't really know about too much, and they don't realize just how much work you've done building that specific domain for of tools for Meteor. So what else do we have coming up in the future? Jan, do you have something else there that's exciting that you might look
not
forward
really.
to?
I have right now my vacation, so I will kind of recoup, gather my thoughts, and hopefully come back with some more stuff. But for the rest of the month, I have, with the exception of this upcoming Monday, for the other Mondays, I have my usual streams on Monday, which are at 4 p.m. Central European Time. I'll be looking more into making a demo for the roles package. I'll be building up again my personal website, probably with Solid, so kind of expanding my horizons, and generally, having fun around Meteor 3 and all that stuff.
Some future episodes, we're going to be talking about SSR and also the use of Meteor in the 2024 Olympics. So if you guys are aware that there is a company out there that actually has built applications for the Olympics, and we're going to be reaching out to them to see if they join us to talk about their interactions there or their experiences there. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care.
See ya.
Yeah.
All right.